I believe that takes us to 7.05, administrative appointments, executive director of employee relations. In accordance with board executive limitation policy EL3, staff treatment and administrative appointment hire is being presented to the Board of Education for approval. A central-based administrative position has been offered.
Mr. Witt, considering this is specifically a personnel matter, I'm going to make a motion that pursuant to CRS 246402 that we move this matter to executive session to discuss for 10 minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I think that it's critical. One of the words we've heard a lot here tonight is transparency and credibility and trust and relationship building. This position is Alan Taggart's position, Executive Director of Employee Relations. And we have a CEO and our superintendent who leads the organization and identifies the best talent to meet the needs to continue to drive this district forward. I would recommend that any conversation that is had be had publicly. And if there are concerns that the board has, we address those, and we're public and we're transparent about it. So I would oppose executive session for those reasons.
Ms. Feldman.
I agree with Ms. Dahlkemper and would also like to remind us all, several hours ago we heard testimony from Lisa Elliott saying how important and critical this position is, that we need to act on it. It is critical that we move now. As a former employee, I know that the Office of Employee Relations is one that is used by administrators and teachers daily, and we need to have that guidance.
Okay, thank you. As this is a personnel matter and it's specific to individuals, let's go ahead and take the roll call. We had a motion in a second.
Ms. Dahlkemper?
No.
Ms. Feldman? No. Mr. Newkirk?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Yes. Mr. Witt?
Yes. The board will meet in executive session. At the conclusion of the executive session, the time will be noted, and the board president may declare the meeting adjourned without returning to the boardroom.
But
we have other agenda items.
I need to ask Mr. Branham a legal question just to clarify. My understanding of personnel matters in executive session is that the person who is being discussed has the option of asking it be done in public. Obviously, this is not an employee yet, but I want to verify with you, does that hold? I know it holds when we have an employee. Does it hold when we're choosing an employee? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, before we get to that question, and I'd like to remind the board that it takes a 2/3 vote to move into executive session, and 2/3 of a 5-member board is 4.
Mr. Witt?
Yes, Ms. Williams.
I feel strongly that that position is a position that should be hired by whoever the new superintendent is, so that they basically are maybe similar philosophically. And we have Ernest and Kaplan, who has been at our side for years and years in the district if there were a need.
It's very important to me that we provide an opportunity for the incoming superintendent to fill key positions. We want to make certain that senior level positions in the administration, they're able to arrange the right relationships to position them to succeed, and we don't want to impede that. I'd like to be very careful to make certain that we create the opportunity for them to make personnel decisions when in interim we can.
Mr. Witt, excuse me, if you'll just hold on for counsel to take a look at a statutory provision.
Okay, thank you.
Appropriate. Thank you.
Yes.
If the next superintendent determines that the person in this position is not the right fit, that is that superintendent's position, or prerogative to say, I'm sorry, you're not the right fit. But in the meantime, that leaves us open for 6 months on those are just a few of the issues that position addresses.
Okay. thank you. I'm gonna suspend conversation until we get.
Go ahead and proceed with the public conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Feldman.
I agree with what Ms. Dahlhammer just said. I think it's critical we move forward, and should, like you all said, the new superintendent, this is 6 months down the road. We've got to fill this position now. And then 6 months later, if that person does not fit philosophically with the new superintendent, that's their decision. We need this position filled now.
Right, and I want to add that I absolutely agree with you. The new superintendent is going to organize the district and hire positions. There's no question. Most positions in the district, as we make changes, would be interim assignments with clear understanding that a new superintendent could make changes. I absolutely agree with that. My concern is this is a critical position in the effective operation of the system. And we cannot go for 6 months because this is not just legal. This is overseeing negotiations. This is overseeing teacher evaluation when we're moving towards any kind of a dismissal. This is making sure we do things justly, fairly, appropriately, according to the statute and the right way.
Mr. Newkirk.
I've heard several times from the superintendent and from a couple other board members about how critical and how essential this position is. What I want to ask is, Mr. Taggart, first of all, I want to read Board Policy EL11 that says the superintendent may not fail to advise the board in a timely manner of relevant trends, facts, and information, including significant organizational changes. When Mr. Taggart resigned, the superintendent did not inform us, so at the time I only could conclude that it was not a significant organizational change. Now, however, we're being asked to believe that this position is so critical that we cannot do without it for the next 4 months or so until the new superintendent is on board. I want to go on record as saying I'm generally not in favor of hiring any key executive positions prior to the new superintendent being able to weigh in on this. Second of all, it's something that I cannot support unless I see this contract and be able to understand that this is something that, in fact, the new superintendent could terminate.
You know, I am so glad you brought that up because there have been allegations made by people that I purposefully left the board without legal counsel. So I'm so glad you asked that question. Mr. Taggart resigned on November 26th, and you're right, I didn't tell you on November 26th, it was Thanksgiving week. And in fact, he stayed employed through December 31st. So he was here through the 31st. Now, we were in board transition, and I've been trying to do better about that, let you know more quickly when we have staffing changes through voicemail. And so I can certainly acknowledge that, but we had Mr. Taggart through the 31st, that was his last day.
Thank you.
We knew we were going to have to do a transition, and we did develop a transition plan. But in order to have continuity and a good employee in that office, you know, I can hear what you're saying, and the new superintendent would have absolute authority to change that position should he or she choose. We are all at will.
One point of fact, Dr. Stevenson, you were standing there when I addressed Mr. Taggart and asked him what his last day was, and he informed me that it was December 19th.
That was his last day in the office. That was not his last day of employment.
I move that the board not approve the hire, I'm sorry, what's the name of Nicole Tusher, and hold off on filling this position until such a time as the new superintendent can weigh in, and in the interim, that existing staff and existing legal contract relationships are used to fill it. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Roll call.
Ms. Dahlhammer?
No.
Ms. Bowman? No. Mr. Newkirk?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Witt?
Yes.